Okay. Let's give this system a look. Now, this is the latest iteration, 1.3. So the notes and things, I have not gone over the 1.0. So as for the changelog, which is provided, I'm not going to worry about going over that because I don't have any sort of prior video or review to amend or to make commentary on. Oh, I'm so glad they listened to this in order to make this playable or better, blah, 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 whatever. I'm coming into this as a neutral party. I have a very open mind for TTRPGs. And from what I understand, this is an extension of or from Critical Role with this project and I believe Candela Obscura. Yep, Hero, I did hear that Cynthia Williams was stepping away from Wizards. So that is news. Is it beneficial? I don't know because I think there's a lot of other decision makers that also need to shape up or ship out before anything meaningful happens. So, I don't know. We'll see. It is what it is. It's certainly a sign of things that perhaps there is recognition that, of things. I'll leave that I'll leave that be how it is. All right. By the way, I do like that there is a D12 on the pommel. That is. Turn that down just a little bit. I like that there's a D12 on the pommel, and from what I understand, this is it is a D12 based system. I haven't read ahead, but I've heard people talk about it, and I thought that was interesting. And I believe the One Ring system by Free League also uses a D12, and also has some D6s for things too. Anyway, so this is the disclaimer. Here is the version 1.3. Now you can download this. You can download this for free over at the Daring. I think it's at the Darrington Press or just at Daggerheart.com. You throw them your email address and you can download this same material. I am not a part of any kind of special review crew. There's been no money nor favor exchanged. I'm coming into this with eyes wide open and an open mind, and I owe no favor to anyone for this. I'm not expecting anything bad, of course, but I do want to make it clear that I'm not paid to review this. I downloaded this just like anyone else would. All right. So we have the open playtest manual, and we do have a quick start adventure. We'll get to the quick start adventure after we go through everything else. The notes of the game is still in active development. It has not gone through an editor yet. So as we might find, maybe something is misspelled or could be better arranged. They know. And it will get checked by an editor. The balancing of adversaries is still in an exploratory phase. Art subject to change, updates periodically. Even though we're in beta, you can stream your games. You can make, I guess that's Darrington Press game license, maybe? Compliant content for the game. We only ask that you make it clear your project is using Daggerheart Playtest, as the game's mechanics will continue to evolve and we don't want confusion when the final game comes out. and that you can't publish and or sell any Daggerheart related products quite yet. Um, and There are many inspirations for the game. We encourage you to check them out if you'd like what we're making here. For a list of touchdowns and inspiration, you can click here for more. Reasonable. I. This is. I'm. The usual. Not like legalese, like super legal stuff, but it's a good consideration. I'm not going to go over the changelog because I didn't review the prior copies. So just reading this is not going to mean anything to me, and maybe not to you all out there. So let's keep moving along. It's good that it's here. That is nice that there is that changelog of what has changed for people who have been keeping up on it. Daggerheart team, so here are credits. Darrington Press credits. And here we go. Let's jump into the introduction and run from there. Welcome to Daggerheart. Daggerheart is a collaborative role-playing game set in a high fantasy world, a place of incredible magic and perilous adventure. During a campaign, you may find yourself rubbing elbows with nobles in an attempt to stop an assassination plot, diving deep into an ancient dungeon to keep a powerful creature from escaping and unleashing its power, sailing across a vast ocean to face off against a terrifying sea monster, or protecting a precious relic from falling into the hands of a dangerous enemy. No matter the adventure your party chooses to embark upon, Daggerheart is designed to provide the tools to tell a story that is both heartfelt and epic. All right, Persilis. Yep, study and do your thing. What is a TTRPG? I will skip this over simply because if you're here on Twitch watching or on YouTube later, you've probably had experience with TTRPGs before. You see this kind of a thing for people who might be a complete first-timer to it. I'm not worried about what's here. The term of PCs, NPCs, or GMs. It is what it is. And you can go back and review it if you'd like a refresher on it. Daggerheart is a heroic narrative-focused experience with combat as a prominent aspect of play, facilitating emotionally engaging, player-driven campaigns that are punctuated by exciting battles and harrowing challenges. The game takes a more fiction-first approach in its design, encouraging players and GMs to focus on the story they're telling rather than the complexity of the mechanics. It asks them to act in good faith with one another to tell the best story they can, and looks to provide structure when it's unclear how things might resolve within that story. The system has a free-flowing approach to combat to avoid stopping down the game into rounds, and it doesn't rely on grid-based movement for the maps and minis. This is all purposeful in creating a game that utilizes the kind of terrain and map building that miniature-based games are known for, while making Daggerheart streamlined, approachable, and focused on delivering a great narrative experience at the table. Those who prefer a highly strategic, rules-heavy experience with more of a heritage from war games may find Daggerheart doesn't have all of the crunchy bits they're used to. Those who come from very rules-light gameplay may find some of the mechanics engage in areas where there used to be a more free-form approach. That's okay. You should always play the types of games that make you and your table happy. That said, if you're looking to tell heroic fantasy stories with a modern approach to mechanics that focus on both the epic battles and the emotional narrative of the characters who fight in them, you've come to the right place. So there is hi blue. By the way, hi Blue Joy. On an unrelated note, I'm very excited. Just bought my first dice set for Vampire the Masquerade. Oh, excellent! I wish you well in it. Now, wait. Did you buy that set because you want to play in the broadcast game that I'm running? I need one more person. No games lined up yet. I need to actually figure out how to play, but I've always been interested in it and been binge watching a VTM actual play. Then Blue Joy, enjoy that. Also from last year, we did a 3-part series called The Red Deemer. So that could also go and maybe scratch that itch as well on YouTube, ! YouTube. There's a series of workshops about approaching the game and taking it super step by step in its presentation. How am I unmature? Ugh. I shouldn't be unmature. It's not branded content, not a rerun. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. I don't know why that... I thought I updated it to not. All right, well, hopefully the mature tag is now off, because this isn't supposed to be a mature stream. This is very... look, I've got a pixelized, a very quaint forest scene behind me. This is the mood. Anyway. But thank you, GMV. Blue Joy, all the info is over on Discord. If you look at VTM Special. Alright, so it seems like Daggerheart wants to go for a middle ground. Probably something lighter than even 5e is. And I don't know if that is the stated purpose. Let's check it out. Let's see if it is if it's sticking to that. Daggerheart utilizes an asymmetrical design. That means it plays very differently for the GM than it does for the players. Many TTRPGs have some asymmetry, with players each controlling one PC while the GM plays everyone else. But Daggerheart's asymmetry goes deeper. Players roll the 2d12 duality dice for their PC's standard actions, including their attacks. At the same time, the GM can make most moves without rolling, but they roll a d20 for adversary moves that require a roll, such as attacks and reaction rolls. Each PC gains hope when they roll with hope, while the GM gains fear when any PC rolls with fear. PCs and adversaries... PCs and adversaries both have a mechanic called experiences, but they are used in different ways at different times. This asymmetrical design is intended to help all participants more effectively contribute to creating a memorable experience together at the table. The touchstone, the inspiration that has gone into this. So things here might resonate with you. You might be able to see. You might be able to see that in the game design. I mean, some of these I know about. I know about 4th edition D&D. I don't know about a lot of them. Maybe they resonate with you, but let's look at what it is for what it is, and not necessarily what it's drawing from. Because I don't want to fall into the trap where if I get this in my brain and I go by, if they're saying 4th edition as an inspiration, then I'm holding it to 4th edition standards. uh, because that would contaminate my own, I don't know, my own processing of this system. So there are, an attribution to credits, and if they resonate with you, cool. I'm skipping them over, not because they're not interesting or that those aren't powerful sources from which to learn, but while we're going over this, I want to look at it for what it is, for what it itself is, for what Daggerheart is. In Daggerheart, you'll take turns speaking at the table, describing what your characters do, the consequences of those actions, and how the narrative evolves because of those consequences. When the rules call for it, or when a situation seems like it needs it, you'll roll the dice to see what happens next. Depending on the result of those dice, the dynamics of the conversation will change. The dice players use in Daggerheart generally come in two different categories: your duality dice and your damage dice. Your duality dice are two 12-sided dice, referred to as D12s, that are of different colors, one representing hope and the other representing fear. These embody the fate of the world around you and its effect on your success. Your damage dice correspond to the weapon or spell you're wielding and expresses how deadly a successful attack you make might be. Anytime you're making a roll to see whether you succeed or fail at something, you'll roll your duality dice and take the sum of their results, plus any modifiers you have that apply to the action. If that total is equal to or higher than the difficulty set by the GM, it's a success. If it's lower, it's a failure. You'll also tell the GM whether your hope or fear die rolled higher, and the situation around you changes based on that result. We'll discuss this more in depth in the core mechanics section of Chapter 2. Each game of Daggerheart is called a session, and those sessions are typically a small story that makes up part of a larger narrative that plays out over multiple sessions, known as a campaign. Sometimes in long campaigns, you may also run arcs, multiple sessions that happen within the same campaign, but that put their focus on a specific area of the narrative within it. Many groups enjoy playing open-ended campaigns that last a few months, or sometimes even years, getting together every week or two to continue their characters' stories indefinitely. But you may also choose to designate a certain number of sessions for a campaign and play the game to a predetermined conclusion. Your group may decide you want to play 10 sessions or 20 sessions with these characters before making new ones, or you may decide you only want to play one session and see how things go. All of those options are wonderful ways to play. Do whatever works best for your group. That's the big summary. Do what works best for your group. When it comes to dialogue, when it comes to content presented, when it comes to themes, the genre of whatever, of any tabletop role-playing game, it's you and your friends at a table. Now, if you happen to broadcast it, you might have strangers watching, but ultimately your game is yours. You should enjoy it, and enjoy it for what it is. Use in-jokes with your friends. Have dramatic moments that you swear could win you an award, but only everyone at the kitchen table or the virtual tabletop will ever truly experience. Oh, are you able to switch pharmacies, Blue Joy? Because that sounds... I mean, I hope that sort of thing isn't necessarily a rarity. I don't know what would be taking them that long, but I hope that that you can find the medicine that was, that you need, that was prescribed to you by your doctor. And if the one pharmacy is not carrying it, then they're probably not the only one that does. You shop around. It might be a little bit of an inconvenience, but this is your health. You gotta weigh that. Also, hi Lucius, thank you for lurking. The most important rule of Daggerheart is that you make the game your own. The rules included in this manuscript are designed to help you have an enjoyable experience at the table, but everyone has a different approach to interpreting rules and telling stories. The rules should never get in the way of the story you want to tell, characters you want to play, or adventures you want to have. As long as your table agrees, everything can be adjusted to your group's playstyle. If there's a rule you'd rather ignore or a modification that works better for you, feel free to implement it with your table's consent. It is the job of the GM, as well as the rest of the players at the table, to prioritize rulings over rules. This text offers answers for many questions your table may have about the game, but it won't answer all of them. When in doubt about how a rule applies, the GM should make a ruling that aligns with the narrative. For example, there is a weapon in Daggerheart called a grappler. It lets you pull a close target into melee with you. If you try to use it against an entire castle, the weapon text doesn't say you can't do that, but it doesn't make sense with the narrative. So the GM might let you pull a few bricks out of the wall instead of the entire wall. As a narrative-focused game, this is not a place where technical, out-of-context interpretations of the rules are encouraged. Everything should flow back to the fiction, so the GM has the authority and responsibility to make rulings for the table about how those rules are applied. Be a fan of your character and their journey. Find ways to show off what your character does best and what they do worst. Push your character's story forward and always strive to make interesting choices. Learn more about who they are through play and let them grow with the fiction. Look for opportunities to put other characters in the spotlight. Set up your allies for something they do well. Look to them for help or ask them what they'll do next. And I'm appreciative of a lot of this, again, for you all. Well, yeah, I've been playing TTRPGs forever. This is repetitive. I got it. This is always worth the reminder. And what they do worst. Character flaws are fine to have. Those blemishes do an amazing job, chef's kiss, of highlighting your character as more than just, an invincible video game can come back to life, without any consequence, no real stakes kind of a thing. It's fine to have a character that has these foibles to them. Uh-oh. Oh, we got a bot. All right, everyone, real quick. So for the bot in chat, make sure you report it, because as Twitch receives reports from us, so what you do is you click on the name, then you hit the three dots, the three vertical dots, and then you hit report and go over to spam, scams, or bots and hit next. You can say, if you want to say spam, I say bot next, and then it'll say tell us more. Bot is soliciting channel services through a link in chat and submit report. And there we go. Now, what happens is Twitch will get many of these reports, and if some automatic action doesn't happen, if it needs a manual review, whoever does it says, well, there's a lot of people who are... Man, I have like a speck of dust that just flew in my eye here. Sorry. They'll say, there's a lot of people reporting this account. I should look into it, and they will hopefully take more decisive and quicker action. And what we do then... what we do is We wait for that email, that glorious email that says we've actioned on the account. And that prevents other channels from being spammed by this bot. So, yep. Bluejoy says just copy and paste the bot's entire message with the timestamp in the Tell Us More box. And I usually get an email within 20 minutes that says it's been actioned on. So thank you all. You are heroes for doing that. You know, you could do it on Twitter as well, or X, and you go from there. Okay. Let's continue on here. Play to find out what happens. Everything you do should flow from the fiction. Listen to the other players and the GM and react to what they say and how they act. If you roll the dice, let the results lead you through what happens next. Embrace complications with the same vigor that you celebrate victories. Yes, 1,000 times this. You know, in D&D terms, you roll a 1. Is that failure? Yeah, but it's also a good role play opportunity. Address the characters and address the players. Speak to the other characters within the world of the fiction. Lean on your connections, ask them questions, and create a story using your conversations as well as your actions. Speak to the other players outside of the fiction. Ask them what their character might do next and what they want to see happen in the narrative, and consider their preferences when you play. Improvisation, or in this case, improvisational. Storytelling isn't always perfect, and that's okay. Hold on gently to the fiction, enough that you don't lose the pieces that matter, but not so tightly that the narrative has no room to breathe. Make mistakes and make changes. Smooth the edges and shape them to fit. Solid advice for starters. And build the world together. In Daggerheart, every participant is a storyteller, not just the GM. Daggerheart is a very collaborative game, perhaps more so than other games you're used to, and reaches its greatest potential when every player, PCs and GM, is working together. This means actively advocating for the story beats you want to see, offering suggestions to enrich the arcs of the other player characters, creating parts of the world with others at the table, and thinking deeply about your character's motivations. Okay. More of this. You can read the minutia. I don't want to go every little bit here. Okay. Well, so I skip over the one here. The core realms are the starting place of reality for your world in Daggerheart. Most adventures are likely to take place in the mortal realm. This is the land, sea, and sky of the world where mortals live out the entirety of their lives. The plane where all material beings and objects exist. Stories say this realm was created by the forgotten gods during the earliest age, and when they were overthrown by the new gods, many were banished to remain in this realm eternally. This realm is also occupied by the faint divinities, the more common lesser gods created by both the forgotten and the new to oversee the mortal realm. The Hallows Above are the collection of realms where many of the gods reside, having been claimed by the new gods at the end of the earliest age. Because this place is closely connected with most other realms, the gods here can see and speak with the people of the mortal realm without leaving their realm. Though their methods of communication may appear strange or obfuscated to those they choose to engage with, there are ways by which gods can leave the Hallows Above to occupy other realms. They must always sacrifice something of importance to them to do so. It's rumored that this sacrifice is the cause behind some of the great calamities that have befallen the mortal realm. The Circles Below. The Circles Below are the collection of lower realms where the fallen reside. Fallen gods lost the divine war with the new gods during the ancient age and have since been deemed evil practitioners of tainted magic, quote-unquote. Thus, the beings that were banished alongside them, along with those sired since, bear the weight of that identifier. The Circles Below is considered a place of corruption, destruction, and endless hunger. Stories say this realm is home to some of the most dangerous creatures in the core realms. Most other planes have safeguards against fallen who may wish to cross over from the circles below. Within the mortal realm, it's rumored that the use of arcane magic in acts of great evil can open a temporary rift between the two lands, allowing fallen to pass through. And the realms beyond. There are countless realms beyond these: the elemental lands, the astral realm, the valley of death, and endless others. These are not typically accessible or traversable by those from the mortal realm, but some in the core realms do carry the knowledge of their existence. Alright, so this is setting up, if you like a multiplanar setting, this is creating a space for that. And if your Hallows Above is different than your neighbors, that's perfectly fine. The concept gets across that these are places that could be referred to or might be the source of particular, what do they call them? Not enemies, adversaries? Maybe certain effects or something along those lines. Where were we? There are countless realms beyond these: the elemental lands, the astral realm. Oh no, I carried that much. Magic and spells. Magic in Daggerheart is both very powerful and incredibly dangerous. It permeates the land and dwells within the people here. Magic exists as both a force within you that you may be able to draw on to give you aid throughout your journey, and as a force outside of you that affects the world and can be tapped into by those who know how to harness it. Depending on the kind of character you choose to play, you may or may not have the ability to use magic. If you do have the gift of spellcasting, you'll use magic through specific weapons, spells, and other magical means. As characters grow, the magic they perform will grow with them with them through the additional cards you gain at each level. These will give you the specific parameters around the kinds of effects your magic can take. And I did see that there was mention of cards. So I don't know how it plays into it, whether it's an accessory or this is a core part of the game where maybe your character is a set of ability cards, and so your character sheet might be like a hand that you hold. I don't know. We'll get to it, but I did see that there was some sort of card accessory that was brought up in the list of revisions. You may always flavor your magic in a way that complements your character and their style, but unless the table agrees, that flavor shouldn't offer any mechanical effect. For instance, you might say that your rogue's magic takes the form of gadgets and inventions, but it's still magic and subject to the game's rules about magic. Your ranger's magic might be the form of ancestral spirits, drawing forth the forces of nature. But in terms of the mechanics of the game, your ranger is still the one who makes rolls for the spells and who spends the resources to power them, etc. Maybe magic works in an entirely different way in your world, and you want to explain how every class's magic emerges from a different source. But for the mechanics of play, it's all still magic, with costs, spellcast rolls, domain abilities, etc. This is going to be a very good reference point to the series after this in our workshop, which is In My World, ... as these are concepts that I will be touching upon about creating your own fantasy world. Not like last year's exercise where we went through the process of building a universe from nothing to a world with sentient life, etc., etc. This is more, it's a lot of what you're seeing here. So this would be a good lead-in for something like that. Feel free to reflavor other elements of the game as well, as long as you maintain their mechanical underpinnings. This seems like obvious advice. For newcomers, it's good to know that you have a lot of flexibility. What do you need to play? 2 to 5 player characters. If you're playing a PC, your responsibilities are to get into the headspace of the character you're playing and decide what they do. You'll be confronting problems and obstacles. Obstacles. The GM puts in front of you, and figuring out how to tackle those problems in a way that makes the story you're telling more interesting. As a player, it's your job to shape the story of your character through the choices you make, as well as look for opportunities to spotlight other characters at the table. If you're playing as the game master, you'll be playing the world as it responds to the PC's choices. That means you'll set exciting scenes for the characters, manage the flow of the story and its conflicts, play the characters not represented by the players at the table, the NPCs, including the various opponents and monsters that characters will face, known as adversaries. The GM will also ask questions of the players that drive forward the narrative. Often, you'll be the one to know the rules and answer any questions about mechanics during play. If a judgment needs to be made during a session about a rule or mechanic that's either not in the rulebook or can't be quickly referenced, you'll be the one to make the final decision. If there are newcomers either lurking and watching here on Twitch or later on YouTube, this happens all the time in every game, no matter how long you've played a TTRPG. Sometimes maybe you do make a wrong call, or you say, in this circumstance, I will allow it, but I will not allow it outside of this. However, there is this rule of cool. I really enjoy it, and I'm willing to make an accommodation in this particular vein, right? Daggerheart uses the full set of polyhedral dice, D4, D6, D10, D12, and D20. When referring to dice, the game will usually indicate the amount of dice with the number of sides. Standard issue character tokens. Character tokens are small objets that represent the look and feel of your character. Gather about 7 tokens per player. Some players may require more or less depending on their character's needs. As you play the game, you'll use these to help track several things. When you roll dice, you'll add tokens to help you easily count your modifiers on the roll. When you make an action roll while in combat, you'll add 1 token to the action tracker. When you use a spell or ability, its card might ask you to place a token on it. So some kind of board game style elements to this. These tokens not only make your rolls and actions easier to resolve, but also provide an opportunity to further express the color palette and style of your character at the table. You can use whatever small objects you'd like as character tokens, plastic gems, pennies, buttons, etc., but we recommend they be no larger than a quarter and sit on the table without rolling away. They should ideally have a distinct appearance for your character, so they won't get confused for somebody else's tokens at the table. Along with this rulebook, you'll also need the cards that come with the core set. Ancestry, Community, Foundation, and Domain cards, as well as the Action Tracker and X card. If you don't have a physical set of cards or need extra copies, you can download and print the cards at home. The Reference Pending section also contains the text for cards from the core set. That section contains character sheets and guides you'll use when building your characters. If you're utilizing pen and paper, you'll want to have these printed out and available for use at the table. If you're planning to use a digital version instead, ensure you have a laptop or tablet available to view and edit your character sheet and guide during the game. We also recommend paper and writing utensils or digital equivalent to keep notes during the session. This allows you to record important details that the GM or other players share. Maps and minis are optional. They can help to illustrate the scene rather than relying solely on the theater of the mind. When drawing or building a map, scale, distance, and details are not always going to be perfectly accurate, and that's okay. The map and the miniatures should never limit your imagination, only provide extra spatial context so that everyone can picture the scene clearly. A table for all, Daggerheart. Yep, it's an open game. You see a lot of notes like this. It's possible to touch upon topics. That might be what the X card was referring to. Okay, it does talk about session 0 as well. So, there you go. Advice, if any of you have never played in a collaborative game, I mean, odds are you're playing with your friends or family at your kitchen table, so there's a lot of context already there. But if something happens, even in that same group, and someone goes, yeah, that's not... talk about it, right? Yeah, it's your all story. So, you should have fun with it. All right, the various chapters, and I think we're just going to we're gonna get to it. Let me do this since we're in chapter 1. Let's take a quick break, get up and stretch, and when we come back, let's begin chapter 1 here. We'll read about session 0, character creation and such, and we'll continue exploring this system. So let's take 5 to 10 minutes, everyone, on our break screen, and I will see you very soon.